Man, I think so too. I just seeing some of the things that you're doing, and not just what you're doing out in the spaces in the world, but the reality is what you're doing with your family, right? And I think that's such a big thing. A lot of entrepreneurs, it's like they're going in different directions, but it seems like there's a competition between their time and their family time, right? But
Family
like
time. That's
I love how you're like, man, you're making this thing all together with this. Can you just explain what is a parentpreneur, by the way? Can you
I'm,
explain
I'm
what that
I'm
is?
I'm glad you asked that question. So the basis of a parentpreneur is a parent first. Like you said, most entrepreneurs, obviously, it's always going to be sacrifice. But most times for entrepreneurs, the family is the one that you have to sacrifice your family time.
Right,
As a
right.
parentpreneur, the parent comes first, meaning I'm a parent at all times. When I
Mm,
travel for business ventures, success, my son is with me. When I'm doing things, whether it might be a Zoom call or I might be doing a workshop, or even if I'm doing one-on-ones with some of my clients and their children come in the room, I always advise them like, it's okay. No matter the age, I
yes.
understand. Because most times when we on the phone, what's the first thing we do to our child? Hey, keep it down. I'm on the phone, or stay
Mm,
out the room, and I want them to include your children with what you're doing so they can
right.
understand what it is that you're doing, whether it's handling paying bills or whether it's handling business, whether we have to go somewhere. My biggest thing as a parentpreneur is bringing the parents and the children together, whether it's to
Mm,
start a business together or just always interacting with your children so they know that there's more than one option. There's a lot of
wow.
exposure that we can provide for our children being a parentpreneur. So you don't
Mm,
necessarily have to be an entrepreneur. However, you can just be an aspiring entrepreneur that's a parent, and then you're a parentpreneur, because at the end of the day, we want financial freedom to be able to spend more time with our family.
right, right. No,
Yes,
that
sir.
that makes great sense. And it's as you're talking about, it's like, man, the thoughts just like jumping into my mind. So I'm thinking, we kind of do a disservice to our children, right? Because they're not a part of understanding the full process. I even think about, and some people are gonna say, well, Lionel, I'm still gonna do this, but Christmas, for example, right? A lot of times in terms of Christmas, when I really realized what the situation was, I told my mom, I'm like, I have no idea why you would ever give credit to an old white man coming down a chimney. You know what I'm saying? When you're putting in
Absolutely.
all this work in order to actually provide. That puts me as a child, right? As a youth, as a teenager, as a young adult, in a different position and mindset to understand what it took for her to do this for me, right? I have more
Yes,
appreciation,
sir.
not just for her, but for the things that she then provides, right? And so I feel like we do a disservice to our own selves. The things that we want for our kids is like we're not actually preparing them for it because we keep them out of a lot of these conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you
Absolutely.
kind of
And then
feel the same
I
way?
would say a lot of things as an entrepreneur, we are doing everything to provide. Even if we're working 2 or 3 jobs, we sacrificing this time to provide for our family. However,
Mm,
in our children's eyes, the only thing that's really important is the time that we spend with them. Nipsey Hussle once said, You're only as happy as your saddest child." So if we spending all this time away working or working within our business,
wow.
we providing, but we're not there. So the child doesn't care about how much money or what they have. They want their father, they want their mother to be around at those special events. They want them to be around to read them a
Wow.
bedtime story. They want them to be around to show them how to cook and things of that nature. So, like I said, being a parentpreneur, the main thing is interacting with your child in your everyday life so they can
Mm,
understand, they'll be a little bit more advanced and they'll understand why you're making some of the sacrifices.
mm.
Yes,
That's,
sir.
man, you're only as happy as your saddest child. Fire. Fire. That's so important though. When you think about it, like what you're saying, it's the time. And so bringing it, and it's really the whole context of this podcast is the fact of biblical entrepreneurship of showing people that, hey, ministry and business don't have to be separated. They really, not only can they be combined, they should be combined.
They should be combined.
They are more powerful when they're combined. And it's like you're saying the exact same thing in a mindset that we have sometimes as entrepreneurs or even as parents, right? Is okay, I got to do this thing, right? And so I have to separate, not to say that you don't need specific times that you have to have focus, right? Energy,
Absolutely.
but in the general scheme of things, like you don't have to have these things separated. You can actually put these things together. And when I think about Parentpreneur, and another thought process that comes to my mind is the fact that as an entrepreneur, you have to be creative. You have to, you have to think outside the box, right? I was on a brother Kashif Kennedy's podcast. He has the Creative Or You podcast. He just talk about how everybody is creative, right? And, the point that I started thinking about, man, as a parent, you got to be really creative to be in your kid's life and to like really connect with them, right? Like you just can't, you got to pay attention. You got to see the up and it's just like running a business, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
you gotta
sir.
really
You got to
pay
see the
attention and know what's
unseen.
going on.
Absolutely.
You got to see the unseen. And so you have to be an entrepreneur in your family as a parent, right? Just
Yes,
as
sir.
a parent, not even talking about business, but as a parent, you got to be an entrepreneur, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you have to
Absolutely.
see the ability, you have to see the weaknesses, the strengths, the opportunities your kids have, the threats that are around. You got to notice those things, right? You know what I mean? So you can truly help them to grow. And I think that's what you've been doing with success and how all of these things have started to flow out of your family because of what you're seeing through your son.
Absolutely. I would say that it's important, and I'm glad that you said like paying attention to what our children's strengths and weaknesses are. So my family, my brother-in-law, he has a Super Bowl ring. My sister, she played overseas in basketball. My other sister played basketball for Georgia Tech. So my cousin is Cam Newton. So I have a long family that's deep in sports. But for
Right.
me, I'm not pressing success to be like, okay, we going straight to sports. I want to see what it is that he enjoy first. Just like I told you in regards to the clothing brand. If he didn't like taking pictures, then I wouldn't have went the clothing brand route. Cause it's like, instead of modeling other people's clothes, why not model your own brand? But if we realize if our children like to draw, then they may be an artist. They may become a painter or something like that. It just takes the time for us to focus on what it is that they actually enjoy doing. One thing that I notice now, Success loves airplanes, maybe because he took a lot of flights, but he's literally on his phone, not on his phone, on his tablet, watching like airplanes just flying up, and he's always talking about airplanes. So with that being in mind, we got him a spoiler alert. For his birthday is 4 days before Christmas, so we got him a airplane thing that he can ride for his birthday. So I know he's gonna be excited about it. But a lot of times I felt like the jobs is taking away our time to really discover our child. We have to learn our children as our children is gonna learn us,
That's a very good point.
Us.
Thanks for watching the Lion and Lambo podcast. We hope this clip has been a huge blessing to you. And we want to remind you that we drop new videos, new podcast episodes every Sunday at 9 o'clock. You can find the full episode by clicking the card up at the top right of this video. If you prefer an audio only experience, then we want to let you know that we're streaming through every major podcast streaming platform. For the full list, you can go to www.lionandthelambo.com. Until next time, go impact the world.